Trey and Jason for the leadership they've shown on Benghazi. It's been a year and 2 days since the attack. The House will be taking up hearings, I think, this coming week to try to get to the bottom of Benghazi. Number one, not one survivor has been made available until maybe recently to the Congress a year after the attack. Can you imagine an administration not making available to Congress the people who were there on the ground? Why is that? I hope that comes to an end. State Department said that they would not make available to Congress the State Department officials who were in Benghazi. I'm here to say that if they take that line, I will do everything I can to block their funding and to stop every State Department nominee. They're not going to be able to stonewall us anymore. To Jason and Trey, they've been pushing the House leadership. 4 committees will look at Benghazi next week. I think they should be a joint select committee. When you have 4 committees, you have a compartmentalized view of looking at things. I wish they had a joint select committee, taking a few people from each committee and doing it sort of like they did Watergate and Iran-Contra, so you could have a baseline of understanding. But these 2 guys have been leading the charge in the House. The House is in Republican control. Unfortunately, Benghazi on the Senate side, not much support from our Democratic friends to get to the bottom of this. So the number one issue for me is having oversight in a real way. The Accountability Review Board was not an adequate substitute for congressional oversight. We still don't know the basics of Benghazi a year later. And my last thought on Benghazi, the idea that this was a protest gone bad is a fabricated story coming from the White House itself to try to shift political blame 8 weeks before an election. That's a bold statement, but I believe it. I believe that talking points will change, not because of intel, but because of the political culpability that would have come from a coordinated Al-Qaeda attack on a consulate weeks before the election that was a long time in the making. That alone is worth our inquiry.
John?
Thank you for coming. Thanks to Furman and Congressman Chaffetz and Senator Graham. Senator Graham is in the minority in the Senate. Doesn't have subpoena power, doesn't have the authority to summon committee hearings, but there's no one in Congress that's done more on the issue of Benghazi than Lindsey Graham, and no one in the House more so than Jason Chaffetz. So the 3 questions remain. Why the lack of security beforehand? What happened during the siege? And why weren't assets deployed or at least en route? And thirdly, why did your government mislead you in the aftermath? So I think Benghazi matters as much today as it did on September the 12th. The 3 of us want to share that message with all audiences, and today it happened to be young people.
Again, Jason Chaffetz, I represent Utah's 3rd Congressional District. It's an honor to be with these 2 gentlemen. From a Utah perspective, there's no greater ally than the representatives from South Carolina. I think we care about the same things. They're passionate about good government, and it's an honor to be here. It's a beautiful campus, and it's an honor for my wife and I to be here and talking to students. Benghazi happened more than a year ago. We have 4 dead Americans killed by terrorists, and nobody has ever been captured or killed. We don't know the truth. We don't know what happened, and we're going to hold the Obama administration accountable. The families deserve answers. The American people need to know why this happened, and we got to make sure that it never ever happens again. But just yesterday, there was another consulate attack in Afghanistan, and it's going to happen time and time again until we make sure that we understand what went wrong in Benghazi and fix it so that we can properly protect Americans who are serving our interests overseas. We have hundreds of embassies and consulates, thousands of people from every state in the nation that are serving overseas, and they need to make sure that we have their back. As a nation, we are self-critical. We're supposed to look hard at these questions. But the President has not lived up to his commitment. The President promised the most transparent administration ever, yet they won't even let us talk to the people on the ground in Benghazi that night, not even a year later. That is fundamentally and totally wrong. The Obama administration has only given us 100 documents out of more than 25,000 that relate to Benghazi. As a government, that's totally unacceptable. And so we're going to be arm in arm with Congressman Gowdy, Senator Graham, make sure the people get the truth. That's who we are as a nation, and that's what we're all committed to.